opinion, because we can both have an opinion.
I mean, since you're not white, though, I guess your opinion's weighted more.
I would argue that I am white. I'm half Asian, half white.
Well, I'm half black, half white, so does my opinion not matter either?
I mean, not according to the left, because black supersedes anything else that you are.
Well, okay, I have been told that I'm like whitewashed and that I'm not really black.
Yeah, like they're trying to find something to invalidate your opinion. So if you tell them you're like half white, there's like, oh, well, that's why you don't respect black history or you don't understand how oppressed you are.
But I also did a DNA test, and I found out I'm actually more Irish than I am black.
Okay, so weirdly, your father-in-law, I met your father-in-law and your mother-in-law go to the same Bible study group that I do at church.
Okay.
And your father-in-law was like, yeah, you know, Isaiah, he found out that he's Irish and he's always wanted to be Irish. And,
I'm 53% Irish.
which I think is hilarious. Like, that's insane.
It blew my mind. It blew my mind.
You don't look Irish, though.
No, I know. But it was like,
imagine
I
if you
identify
came
as an
out
Irishman now.
Yeah, you should, actually. I feel like that would be more impactful in the race. Just show how dually ethnic you are. Like, yes, I'm black, but I'm Irish, which gives me just an edge on everyone else.
But I am 45% sub-Saharan African, and I know specifically Ghana and Nigeria. So
okay,
my
cool.
roots are like actual African.
Yeah,
so.
That's kind of cool. I mean, I've always been, before the left made it taboo for conservatives to talk about ethnicity, I've always enjoyed ethnicity. I think it's interesting. Like, I enjoy, even when some people are like, oh, I'm just white. I'm like, no, you're not just white. Like, what are your roots? You know, that's an ethnicity. There's ethnicity in Europe.
No one's just white completely though either. I mean, even my mother-in-law, when she got her DNA test back, she found out she had some sub-Saharan African in her too.
Did you know that Connor has some black in him too?
I can totally see that.
It's like this much.
That.
It's like this much, but he's like, oh, I'm black. Yeah. I don't know if he actually ever said that, but
have you ever done it?
My mom did it.
You should do it.
I don't know if I want to.
You don't want to know?
I know that I'm Thai, British, and Native American.
It's very interesting.
Yes.
Combo.
The British is on my dad's side.
Okay.
So my last name is Estabrook, so it's very British sounding.
Yeah.
And the last name Windsor has been passed down on my dad's side. And my dad told me that if he killed 1 million people, he could have the throne of England, which that's cool.
How does he know the specific number?
It's like roughly that much, just because of the house that we're related to. And then mom is obviously Thai. Mom did a DNA test, and so she's pretty much all Thai. It's possible there's some other little things mixed in there, but that's primarily what it is. And then there's also the Native American on my dad's side. I want to say it's Cherokee. It's the
only one I know. When it comes to Native American tribes, I only know Cherokee.
Yeah, I think it's Cherokee. So I guess there's probably, I think what I'd be more interested in knowing is if it's actually all British or if there's any German in there, because I suspect there's some German. But that's pretty much it for me.
My wife's 30% German.
Yeah. Ooh.
But I'm still it's so weird because I look at them, they look like they'd be more Irish than me. I'm more Irish than all of them.
And I hate to say this though, to sound just kind of, elementary, but dark features will always take over everything. Because, one of your parents is black, well, that's going to take over. That's just kind of what happens. Kind of the same thing with Asian. My mom was just darker all around, so that pretty much took over. Yeah. And you don't really see... You'll see the Asian before the British for sure, and then you'll obviously see that you're black before anyone sees that you're Irish. As much as you identify as an Irish man, people will not know unless you tell them I identify as an Irish man.
I'm gonna tell them every time. I identify as an Irish man. How dare you say I'm African American? I don't want to hear it anymore.
Wow,
I'm Irish American.
You're gonna be celebrating Irish History Month instead of Black History Month.
Heck yeah.
That's what we're here to talk about.
St. Patty's Day. That's my holiday now.
Did you ever celebrate St. Patty's Day a lot?
No. Now I'm going to.
Okay. Well, don't get too wired on alcohol. But yes, Happy Black History Month, everyone.
Yay.
Who knows if our editor will keep in that first little bit of us talking. But editor, if you're listening to this, which I know you are, keep in at least some of that conversation.
Just a little bit.
So that our audience can get to know us and get to know what we care about. And one of the things we don't care about is Black History Month.
Nope.
We were talking about this off air, about how you feel about Black History Month. And we're kind of, when we were getting this episode ready, you had some feelings. And this is a safe place for your feelings, by the way. You can express you can express how you feel. How do you feel?
I think Morgan Freeman said it the best, is Black history is still American history, and why are we relegating it just to one specific month? It's like, it's so weird. It's like how Candace Owens says, like, the left is like indirectly racist towards us, but they don't realize it. Yeah. It's like they're trying to do us a good thing, but it's like, oh, let's give them a month specifically for the people that have made mass achievements, but since they're Black, we'll call it Black History Month.
Yeah.
It's like we don't talk about these individuals literally 11 months out of the year. It's just this month, hey, let's just now give them the praise that they deserve when it should be the whole year long. So I don't like that. And then the whole concept of the holiday literally seems to contradict what Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. wanted to do, was just to be based off of the content of our character and not the color of our skin. So then we look at this holiday, and they show successful Black individuals in America, and we can really appreciate what they've done for this country. But the holiday is still called Black History Month. I
think what you're saying is more of, let's just have American history.
Literally, yeah.
Month. Yeah, like that would actually be cool. I feel like that would be such an inclusive holiday, because there's plenty of people from different races and ethnicities that have contributed to America's history and making us great.
A bunch of them, and it also seems one-sided. Even in the month, the holiday, it's like we talk about all these like successful Black people, but I never hear them talking about the more conservative, successful Black people.
Right. Well, the Black History Month I think it's honestly just an excuse from the left to make sure that we keep history rewritten the way that they want it to be rewritten to. Yeah. This is the irony. They're like, oh, these Black people have done great and amazing things, but you're also oppressed and you totally can't do these things.
Literally.
It's so weird.
And even then, like, when you really like look into like the Black history in America, most of the successful Black people were actually conservative. I mean, the very first congressmen in the United States, Black congressmen, were Republicans.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang,
yeah, the very first ones.
Do you know of any? I'm
now about to forget his name. I know he was originally from South Carolina, and he was a free slave. He was a free man. His parents were slaves, and the Confederate Army forced him to fight in the Civil War. Then he escaped, came back, and then was the first congressman within the House.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the very first 20 in both chambers were Republican.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Why don't they mention that? That would be cool.
Because it's Republican Party. I mean, again, that's another thing. Is like, we want to talk about Black history. The Republican Party was literally founded as an anti-slavery party. It's literally how it started.
Yeah. Because the Democrats, as far as I've understood...
That's our Black history. Is really the Republican Party.
Which is so weird to think about, but it's true. I mean, because I'm trying to remember with some of the presidents, that Lyndon B. Johnson, wasn't he a pretty like staunch racist?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he was pretty racist. I'm not sure about Kennedy though. I'm not sure about JFK.
No, he wasn't. But also, honestly,
they didn't like each other though. JFK and Johnson did not like each other very much.
But if JFK was alive today, he would be classified as a Republican.
Oh yeah, well that's how far the party has gone. Mm-hmm. It's become so radical. But to be honest with you, I don't know. I feel like the Democrats, there was always a level of radicalism because there was a lot of racist roots that were already there in the party, which is why I do agree with what Candace Owens says, is that they're trying to keep Black people mentally enslaved.
Yeah, why are we talking about her during Black History Month? Or Dr. Ben Carson?
Yeah, they would be good people
Officer
to talk
Tatum,
about.
like these successful Black conservatives that have made massive movements in the community, but we don't talk about them.
I also think, too, though, when it comes to history, I think you need to be able to tell the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. Like, there's people on the left, too, that I think are important to talk about, like Al Sharpton. I think he's horrible. I think he's a grifter. But I think people need to know about him. Like, this is the type of guy that he is, and, like, just be honest. Like, you might not agree with everything that he says, but he is important to history because he has, unfortunately, changed a lot of our recent history. You could say the same thing about Candace Owens, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent or somewhere in the middle. You might not agree with everything that she says, but she had a significant moment in recent American history. I think that's worth talking about. Also, Ben Carson, Thomas Sowell. Like, these would be, if you want to give a well-rounded look of history, that's what you would do. Yeah. But they don't want to do it.
Or ready for this one, here's another part of Black history that we don't talk about. One of the very first legal slave owners in the United States was a Black man.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
One of the very first ones. Now, if you look into it, they debated. Some people, I think Officer Tatum said that he's the first one, and they fact-checked him. They said he's actually like the second one. But if you look into it, one of the very first ones, legal slave owners, was a Black man.
Yeah. Well, and that brings in an interesting idea, though, that the left tries to do, and I'm speaking in broad terms. They try to paint, obviously, the whites are the oppressors.
What?
And almost, shocking. And then Black people, it's like they're almost not capable of doing the things that white people can do. They're almost created so differently that they could never do that kind of form of evil. And then when you say something like that,
it's what?
It's like, well, it goes completely against the narrative that Black people are only capable of being victims. But it's very clear that they were able to do the same things, because at the end of the day, it is about the content of our character, and whether you're white, Black, I don't know,
Irish,
Irish. I was gonna say yellow because that's how I refer to.
You can say that. I can't say that.
It's but I was told it was a derogatory term, but I've called myself yellow before. But anyway, whether you're white or Black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, we still have the same moral compass and the same capabilities of doing good or evil or something that is slightly in between, that's just neutral. Now, this was something that really bothered me with Black History Month, because I used to work at a university.
Yeah.
I used to work at a university. I don't anymore.
Was it an HBCU? Or no, I don't think it was technically an HBCU.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It was just a public university. That's all I know.
It was mostly Black people, though.
At UNC Charlotte?
I wasn't gonna say the name, but yeah, at UNC, yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll get that bleeped out or something. Because listen. No, this isn't a particular hate towards this one college. My point was that these history months are politicized so deeply. For example, let me give you an example of what I mean by this. A few years back, we had this shooting where this white guy went into like some sort of nail salon, basically, killed some Asians. I believe it was also a Hispanic in there, but the media didn't care about the Hispanic. They just wanted to we see an opportunity now to make Asians a victim of white supremacy. Very strange, because they've been lumping Asians into white supremacists, whatever. But they tried to do it anyway. And so then, suddenly, this college, you have universities that are now celebrating Asian History Month because now it's relevant, right? But once that story went away, it wasn't celebrated anymore, really.
I'm going to say there's an Asian History Month.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so you didn't know. That's what I'm saying. But here's the thing. I don't care whether or not there's an Asian History Month. I'm using it to point out kind of the level of hypocrisy that exists of, like, you celebrate Black History Month because it's a vehicle for your political narrative. But when a group is no longer convenient for your political narrative, whether you know it or not, directly or indirectly, that group slides to the background. Like, here's the thing. Let's just say that Black Americans, like a majority of Black Americans, truly wake up and are like, whoa, we're being used. And they decide we're actually going to feature people like Thomas Sowell, Ben Carson, Candace Owens, really.
Larry Elder.
Elder's huge. He's huge in recent history. You'll start to see that I don't think more liberal institutions are going to highlight Black History Month as much because it no longer serves its purpose and it no longer serves the narrative that they need to. That vehicle has become useless to them and they have to let it go. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, they'll try. But I mean, even honestly looking at like Black History Month, even the way it's like celebrated, it's still shown only during a specific time, which is the Jim Crow era. Honestly, whenever we talk about Black History Month, the only handful of people that you really hear about is Rosa Parks, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and then every once Carver, the peanut guy, and like that's really about it. No one, like I said, no one talks about the very first Black congressman. Why? Because they're Republican. They don't talk about the negative side of the Black history. Like I said, one of the very first legal slave owners in the United States was a Black man. And then even then, like we don't really look into the history and then try to apply it. Like when you look at Black history during even the Jim Crow era, the single motherhood rate was significantly lower. So like if we're going to really look at it, let's look at that and try to apply it to today. Because now the single motherhood rate in our community, well, not my community, I'm an Irishman, but in that community.
I can't associate anymore.
No more. It's one of the highest. I think it is the highest one.
Yeah.
So they cherry pick what they want to talk about and really highlight in Black history. So it's not even really Black History Month.
It's just
it's white bad history month.
White bad history
and then
month.
Black victim history month. Really is what it is. We don't talk about the whole history of the black people in America.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's true. I had something on the tip of my tongue that I was going to say. But yeah, I agree. You have to be able to tell the whole story. And I appreciate that you want to tell the whole story or you want people to be more aware of the whole story.
Because if they're aware of it, then that changes perception.
Yeah.
That, like, those things alone that I said would have Black people like, what?
Whoa. Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, I didn't know about, the first.
I didn't either until I saw a clip of Officer Tatum. He said that, and I was like, no, there's no way that's real.
Then you
I looked into it.
Did your
own
research.
Holy crap. That's true. Same thing with the Black congressmen.
Yeah.
And senators. They were all Republican in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to something you said. I remember what I was going to say. I want to go back to something you said about, do people really know their history? And I'm going to bet dollars to donuts that most people that, celebrate Black History Month are just kind of going with the flow. Like they see a post and they're like, oh, I'm going to share this, or, and that's kind of it. And they don't actually take the time to look into their own history. I would like to see, for everyone, if we're in America, right? And America, I think, is really unique because we have so many immigrants and we came in such different ways. Like, that's why I think it'd be good if it was American history, because you can kind of take time to look into your own roots and actually know the story of our country. But there seems to be more emphasis, at least in what I see from the media, of critical race theory, Black history, and less on having a picture of American history as a whole. Doesn't seem like as many people care about that because they are so convinced that if it was someone who's white, they must have been a horrible, evil, terrible person. And that doesn't mean that all white people are necessarily good either, right? Like, there's plenty of
no race is perfectly good.
No, absolutely not. Can't be possible.
Again, our roots, when you really look at Black history, one of the very first people in this country that was a legal slave owner was a Black man. So it's like, we're not any better.
Well, and
We're humans.
Well, everyone knows too. I mean, everyone should know at this point that, who sold the slaves from Africa to
molasses, baby. We want the molasses.
What the heck?
Isn't that what they sold them? Like, it was for the trade. Yeah.
No, I was talking about like Black people sold their own people.
Yeah.
Like, no one talks about that. It's like you spend all your time looking at white people, and this is the problem now too that I get very upset at, is that Black History Month, it just solidifies and I lost the word I was going to use, perpetuates this idea that all white people are evil, and that creates a lot of racial tension in today's society where the racial tension should not be there. Like these other white people that you see on the street, they're not racist. No. Like they're just living their lives. We're all living it together. They didn't enslave you. Like, that kid is 10 years old. He didn't do anything. It's weird.
We are literally living in a time now where systemically we are equal, but societally we are the most divided we've ever been.
And I feel like it doesn't have to be that way. I felt like there were legitimate reasons, like right when slavery ended and then we're going through civil rights, I could see legitimate reasons for there being tension, like very legitimate reasons of trying to walk away from that. But now I just see it being unnecessarily perpetuated. Yeah. That like they can't let it go. Like Democrats, they can't. I think that's what Candace is talking about, is like they just cannot. It's like, okay, we can physically free them, but we mentally need them to be enslaved to us so that we can keep the power. And it's not just white Democrats. It's when we talk about blacks enslaving blacks or selling blacks, you have plenty of black leftists that are politicians doing that to their own people, telling them these lies. Yeah, exactly. Like they're willing to do that to their own people. Yeah. And that's what's despicable. And it's just disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yeah. My challenge would be for anyone listening to not engage in this holiday. If you actually know a successful black person that you think should be talked about in American history, post about them, talk about them outside of February. We should not just be relegated to 1 month. Black history, like Morgan Freeman said, is American history. Why are we dividing? Why are we dividing by race?
Yeah, I agree. I would not engage with that either. And here's what's so weird, because I like makeup. I love makeup. Yeah. I cannot be without it. I have way too much lipstick. There's actually like 3 things of new lipstick that I got over there. Goodness, yeah. And they all look red to you, Isaiah, but they are different shades of red. One of them is like a more berry tone. One of them, anyway. There's a lot. I love makeup so much. It's so fun. But like when I go shopping on Sephora, it's like black-owned brands, and I'm just like, are you serious right now?
Why even make that distinction? Like,
it doesn't fit anywhere on the page. Like it sticks out like a sore thumb because it's not like white-owned brands, black-owned brands, Hispanic-owned brands. It's like, just tell me if the product's good. Yeah. I don't care who made it. Is it good?
Also, would that not, like, as a business owner, if you know that most people are buying your product just because they know it's a black-owned business and not actually the quality of your product, does that not, like, hurt your, like, pride? Like, you literally created a business.
But they're so, this is my thing, though. They're so desensitized because there's enough media in their ear that's like, no, this is good. But if you actually stop, take the time to think about it, be like, wow, this person might just be buying from my brand because of the color of my skin. If you really take time to think about that, you're like, wow, that's pretty messed up. Yeah. It's like, what if how do I know if my product sucked? It's like when I saw a Steven Crowder video a long time ago. It was like a Change My Mind, where
the affirmative action.
It might have been. I don't. You know him better than I do, but he was asking this
the girl about the scholarship.
Yeah, it's like, do you know if you earned it? Yeah, and she was honest. I want to say no. She said no. I don't know. I don't know if I made it here because I'm good or if it's because I'm black. Like, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, don't you want your product to be good just because it's a dope product? Yeah. Like, for women, it's like, okay, if you've made a fantastic lipstick, I'm not going to buy it just because you're black. Like, I'm going to buy it because it's a dang good lipstick. Like, that's what I'm going to do. It's like the same thing with any other product, but I'm just using lipstick and makeup as an example. Not that you would buy lipstick. That's also very disturbing, is that what they've started doing with makeup is having like men, like obviously very gay men, like modeling the makeup. It doesn't look as good on them, and it's kind of gross.
I don't get engaged in anything makeup related.
I'm really glad to hear this, but for more of the woman's end, it's like, you know how there's this huge push for women to be in like more men dominant areas like STEM. Yeah. Okay. It's kind of, imagine it's like that, but for women, it's like bringing men into women's spaces. Like, we're makeup pretty
much.
much.
They are doing that, but we're doing it in sports, and we're dominating y'all.
It's really mean. It's really mean. I think there was a golfer.
There's a golfer now?
I think, yeah. There's a golfer that he's...
Big old manly biceps.
He looks like a dude. Because he is a guy. That's the thing. But yeah, I think that's good. Now I have a weird question for you.
For me?
Yeah. Why is it... I'm not saying that I want this, but why is it that black people can use the N-word, but any other race, if you use it, it's really bad?
Because, again, the victim mindset. It's like... yeah, that one too. It's like... It's supposed to be a racist term. It's only racist when someone, again, which the argument itself is racist. It's only a racist word if you're not black. So, like, they'll say it, like, I can call another black man the N-word. And depending on my tone, it can either be endearing or it can be an insult. But those two rules are not applied if a white man says it.
Yeah. I was always just kind of curious about that. Like how that worked. Whereas
I try to break that, and I try to start a movement on college to try to get everyone to say the N-word, but no one would do it. So
I have to be honest, I probably wouldn't either.
My wife wouldn't. I tried so.
Yeah, I stay away from racial slurs as a whole, just because I don't find them very helpful. I mean, there's like funny. I don't know if.
But see, it's only a racial slur, depending on your race.
No, it's true. It's so weird because like I can say the word yellow. Like
yeah, but I can't say that.
You can't, which I mean, I don't personally really care. But yeah, I can do that. But there are some Asian slurs that I would not use. But yeah, I can do that, and it's not really that big of a deal. Like,
yeah, like there's slurs for every other race that are actually like deeply offensive, apparently, that like no one can say. But there's none for white people. I think the worst.
That's true. That is true.
I think the worst is cracker, but even then, everyone's like, so what? They called you a cracker. What big deal?
Yeah, it's because it's almost like they deserve it.
Yeah.
And like no one, because I think the one thing that is kind of odd is like the idea of like a white woman being a Karen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I love that.
You know what? We're starting a new movement. Starting March. That's White History Month. We're starting it.
Do you want to lead up White History Month on Resident Skeptics?
March.
All right, March is White History Month.
Yep.
And by White History Month, also American History Month.
Nope, White History Month.
You want to be okay? If you're gonna do White History,
we're gonna do Black History Month. We're gonna do White History Month.
Okay, well then you're leading White History Month. You're coming back here with some dope white leaders.
Some dope
America.
White people.
And it better not be the Ku Klux Klan.
The Democrat Party, you mean again? Started by them.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far that all the Democrats.
The Democrat Party created the Ku Klux Klan.
I know they did, but it's more of like how I would refer to them now.
Just refer to them as crackers. It's not offensive, apparently.
I just can't do it.
You can't call them crackers?
No, I can't. This is the thing. I don't call anyone like a ton of derogatory terms. Like here's the thing.
Not even in the car?
No.
Don't lie.
I don't, I promise. That's the thing about me is that if I make an insult, I want you to know that I mean it. Like really mean it. And so if I'm constantly using derogatory terms, you're never going to know if I really mean it.
That's fair.
But if I say something just something really deeply offensive to you about your character and use some more colorful language, and by colorful I don't really necessarily mean swears. I can do damage without using swear words. You'll know that I'm serious. And I want you to know that I'm serious. So no, I don't.
All right.
That's just my style of insults and thoughtfulness. I like to be thoughtful with how I insult people. It's very important.
I'm very simple. I just get straight to the point.
Which I appreciate. That's why we have you here. We have to balance each other out. But I feel like
So we're starting two movements now, okay? So anyone listening, Black History Month, no longer a thing.
Great.
Don't engage in it. Okay, Black history is American history. If you want to talk about these successful Black individuals, talk about them outside of February. Also, March starts White History Month. So
all right, you realize you're going to have to lead the charge for White History Month, right?
I'll bring up my Irish heritage.
Okay, great. Well, I will have our manager set up our White History Month.
Message resident skeptics on Instagram, successful white individuals that you want us to talk about during March.
Okay. Hey, you've made it happen, but you have to come up with white individuals that we wouldn't think about bringing up, that wouldn't occur to us. You got to shock us. You got to bring it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just saying, if you make bold claims, you gotta back them up. So here we go. All right, guys, let us know what you think. Do you think that we should celebrate Black History Month? Do you think we should even be talking about Black History Month? Was this episode actually useful? I don't know. You can let us know in the comments. You can email us at residentskeptics@gmail.com, but make sure you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Also, make sure you follow us on Spotify. We will see you next time. We have a really fun episode coming up that is all about America, because we talk about American history. But speaking of American history, we're also going to be talking about the American church. So you're not going to want to miss that episode. It's going to be very interesting, and Connor and I will be head on that. That's going to be really fun. We're excited. That's part of our initiative as a whole to bring more religion into the podcast. So that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. We will talk to you later.